Hi, I'm Tim Roble, and welcome to another episode of Adventure Athlete. Today we're on day 3 of the build, and I'm doing a little bit better today. So, progress on the truck. Got rid of the rack and the tent. Everything inside the bed has been taken out. Moving inside to the doors. I got my boxes and everything stripped out. And back panel off. I'll be probably pulling the seat belts on the side today also. For me, weight is a concern, so I'm trying to drop as much weight as possible before I get done with the build out. So today we're set up to get rid of the bed. I got to go down to my buddy's shop at Tire Pros and pick up my old axle and load up my side steps. At the same time, I'm hoping to pick up my dual spares, dual drilled. So then we'll have kind of a blank canvas to start working on. So update on the springs. Boy, Deaver and Atlas Spring are both sitting 5-6 weeks out on having a custom set of springs built. May still lean that way. Right now, I've taken the dimensions off the spring, basically eye to eye. The springs are 54 inches. And from the front at the solid perch mount to the center pin is 24 inches. So what I'm doing right now is I'm looking through maybe a Chevy 1500 Sierra. I'm trying to get a hold of dimensions right now for those leafs, or maybe even a 2500. So here in a little bit, I'm going to make some calls and see what we can do. Came across some Ford Raptor Deaver springs that were built for the Raptor. So that may even be a consideration. Brings me to the next thing. As a fabricator, basically what you are is you're a problem solver. You have to solve problems that come up before you. That's what you do, and you design and engineer around that problem to come up with a solution. That being said, here's the rack that came off. And that's one of the things I wanted to talk about for kind of a quick product review. This right here is Hurcliner, and this is basically how I did the ceiling panel in it. Take this out to the sun. This is my first attempt at doing like a dual stain, kind of a green streak through it. But on the back side, Hurcliner, and this rack has basically been together for about 8 months now. Made it through the winter storms, and I think it held up really well. So you can buy the Hurcliner in a gallon jug, and I go get it from O'Reilly's. It ends up being about $82 out the door. They do give me a 15% military discount, which I really appreciate. Thank you, O'Reilly's. Some more updates. Let's talk about solar. So I got all the solar off the roof. And here's the little porta potty that I've been talking about. And it's this lower tank that's the problem. So looking forward to getting rid of that. And I got the new one stashed. As you know, this yard is super small and tight and occupied. But here's the new unit. It's the Thetford. It's the one I always use. I think it's a 5200 model series, but it's got the deep tank on it. I think it's like a 5 or 6 gallon tank on the bottom, and that becomes real important not only for the duration of the trips, but I don't usually fill it up. But it's the flushing option on it that really works so much better than the small one, and you probably can figure out exactly what I'm talking about right now. Back to the Hurcliner, and this is what I use right here. Usually I will say that it doesn't seal up well, so buy what you need to do a project. Like 1 gallon would do a bed. I would count on 2 coats, especially if you're just going to cover bare metal. And here is that on the boxes that I've had in the back for probably 2 years. And I didn't wash this or anything. You know, it takes its abuse. But this is held together so well. It's almost like a wood glue. I've taken the hinges off, the corner braces off. I shouldn't say hinges, corner braces off, and I'm waiting for it to pop and fall over, and it's still holding tight. So that's an update for today. Basically getting all the tools together to get the hitch, the bumper, and the bed off on record time. I'll stop by Walmart. I'll pick up a trailer lighting kit. So I plan on taking off the bed, just plugging in the trailer lighting kit, hanging the license plate on the back window, and driving it about 4 miles home. So hopefully I don't end up getting a ticket or anything crazy on that. I don't really know what the laws are on that, but that's what I'm gonna do. May have my stepson Joe, he gets off of work, come help me. Getting back to the fabricating thing, he's worked for me for probably, well, on and off for past maybe 5 years, but lately he worked for the county of Riverside, and they started having him go and do some weird stuff inside some of these medical rooms with guys that had TB and different diseases, and they didn't fit him with a respirator or provide him with a respirator, so he felt his kind of health was at risk, and went ahead and quit. So with that being said, he said, hey, is there anything I can do in the shop? I said, yeah, I can ramp up some stuff and have you do some things in the shop. So the number one thing that I've always taught him is a fabricator is nothing more than a problem solver. It's how well you solve those problems. If you hire a helper and you need a helper to come out and help you out with a project, that's okay for the guy that's holding something. You're like, hold this here. Make sure that's 90. Make sure that's 45. Go cut this at 39.5 inches. Well, that all works out well if that person can follow directions. But really what you need is you need one more of you, somebody that can go jump into a situation, assess what it is, and say, okay, well, I'm going to make this bracket like this. I'm going to dimple die it, hole saw it, dimple die it, and get it tacked in place and go from there. And I just got him up to a level where, like, he was another one of me. It was super, super handy in the shop. I bought this Miller 211 MIG. A lot of you know that I had that Everlast 140. Worked great. I still have that welder at my other house. But what a lot of these welders don't do that Miller does really well is they give you a chart inside right here that tells you metal thickness and your settings, and that makes it really easy for getting somebody to have consistent results without having to guess. Another thing this unit does is it has this mode select switch here that you can just put this in 30 thousandths and then pick your thickness that you're going to weld. And both of these are rheostats. But you can, for a beginning welder, if he's going to do 1/8 inch, you can set that at 7 and in 30 thou and let it run. And most of the time, I can sit back and be somewhere else. I can be machining a part, getting some things happening, and I can hear the welder running and know if what's going on. If tip to work distance is off, if the setting's wrong. There's a lot of variables that go into it. So what I've done is I went with the Miller-Matic. So I got him up and running, and then what happened to me is what usually happens when you get a really good helper. And he got offered a job as a welding instructor at a welding academy, basically a vocational school for kids. And what that did is it kind of really put a screw up in my program, because I was running at now 80 to 100 hours a week. I didn't do it all the time, but I had basically 2 people that we could bill out, and we got things running and doing pretty good. And now he's gone, so I'm back to doing things myself. He does give me a hand. Yesterday he was great on helping out with the taking the rack and the tent off. It's just too heavy and too awkward to do by myself. But yeah, long story short is, I miss my helper, and we'll see what happens in the future and where we head. My plan is to start drawing the shop down and go enjoy life a little bit more. That's why I'm building this rig. That being said, I had one of my buddies hit me up in the comments on yesterday's video that, hey, have you thought about buying a Sprinter? Yes, I did. About a year ago, a couple days ago, a year ago, I went and ordered a 170-inch wheelbase, four-wheel drive, high top, with swivel seats and all kinds of deleted parts on it to keep the cost low, because I wanted to build it out into a adventure rig. It came in about 4 months ago, and I went down and looked at it, and I just made the decision that I felt that I wanted to go a tad bit different direction. Because as a fabricator and having the cool tools, it allows me to build exactly the platform that I want. And I think having a truck with a frame, ARB in it, 35-inch tires, it's going to allow me to go a little bit deeper, because my thought process on this build is I want to go deep. Maybe camp for a night or two in that area, get up in the morning, have my coffee, and then either jump on the mountain bike or go for a run or a hike, explore, see the things, and then move to a new location the next time. And that's another thing that makes that rooftop tent a pain in the butt. If you're gonna move every night or every 12 hours, it is terrible to have to set up and take down. I'm looking for ease of setup and ease of takedown. So that's what's kind of inspired this build. And it's just gonna go a little bit deeper than what I think that Sprinter would do. Not knocking the Sprinter, I love them. And 62G, it's a lot for that platform. That was probably my biggest thing, was the price consideration. So anyway, with that being said, that's the update for today. We're working on springs, getting rid of the bed, getting rid of all my spare parts. And tomorrow we'll have a bare platform to start playing with. Springs and shocks. And talking about shocks is another thing. Calling around, searching around, and I happen to remember that I had a buddy that owes me a pretty big favor, and I did some work for him, I'm going to say 15 years ago. Happened to give him a call yesterday, and I think the shocks that I'm going to run on this, just because I can get them for free now, are 14 or 16-inch travel, Fox 2.5-inch 3-tube bypass shocks. A little bit much maybe for this camper, but I do want to drive it a little hard off-road, and they're going to be free to me, brand new out of the box. Just pick and choose. He's got 16s and 14s in stock. And he said, let me know and I'll send them out. In a perfect world, I'd like to get the springs, cycle everything, figure out exactly where I am, and order the shocks accordingly. But I know I'm probably gonna cycle somewhere around 14 out of the back, so I may just lean with some caution and do the 16s and have just a little bit more shaft to play with in case things runs into trouble. So anyway, long-winded today, but I feel a lot better than yesterday. I got to say thank you for all the kind words that I got yesterday in the comment sections. Have questions, comments, hit them up. Doing real well right now and getting back to you on the same day, and sometimes we're even having a conversation in the comments back and forth until we have an understanding or at the end of a conversation. So once again, thank you all for watching. I really appreciate each and every one of you. We're all better as a collective unit. So if you got comments that you want to put in there, and you think I'm going the wrong direction or something, have no problem with you saying so, and me having to back up my path. Path is pretty much set on this, what I'm going to do now, but there's a possibility that somebody has great input, and I may make a small or little tweak or change just for that. So thank you guys so much for the comments, the likes, thumbs up, and please subscribe to this if this is something that you enjoy and like. For now, I'm Tim Roble. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you here next time.